Yes.
Okay. Dr. Hines, this is Justin Riker. He is the global messenger athlete who invited you to join us today. So we're going to put the spotlight on him. Take it away, Justin.
Okay. Dr. Jeffrey F. Hines, MD, is the interim vice president and chief diversity officer for the University of Connecticut and a chief diversity officer for UConn Health. In addition to his duties as chief diversity officer at UConn, Dr. Hines teaches obstetrics and gynecology and public health sciences at the University of Connecticut School of Medicine. Dr. Hines has extensive experience and interest in the field of cancer vaccines, clinical cancer trials, disparities in healthcare, health equity, and racism in medicine. He also served as a battalion surgeon during Operation Desert Shield and Operation Desert Storm. Dr. Hines received his undergraduate degree from Brown University in biology and his medical degree from the Warren Alpert Medical School of Brown University School of Medicine. Welcome, Dr. Jeffrey Hines.
Justin, thank you for those very kind words of introduction. Justin and members of this amazing group, thank you for the invitation to speak. I am very excited to be here today. As I talk a little bit, I'm just going to share my screen to make sure everything is working. There we go. But it's truly a pleasure to be here this afternoon. I will admit that I am the type of person that likes to be very, let me just get this to be, I like to involve people in conversation. So this is going to be a presentation that I am not giving you a lecture. I have a few slides that I'm using to help guide our conversation, but I want y'all to participate. So I'm going to need the help of Debbie and Justin because I can only see on my screen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares. And as people raise their hand or whatever this group likes to use to be able to speak, I just would need some help from Debbie and Justin to help me engage people in the conversation. So Justin, thank you for those very kind words of introduction. So I want to talk a little bit today in the time that we have around the broad topics of diversity and equity, inclusion, what humility is and respect. So 5 small terms that we'll spend a little bit of time talking about today. But I have these, what I call touchstones or guidelines for us to have this conversation. What do we all need to agree to as we enter this space of conversation? Because sometimes talking about these topics can be a little challenging. And so I want us all to be 100% present. I want us all to bring our complete authentic selves to this conversation. Among this group of people, we're not here to fix anybody. We are not here to judge anybody. We will maintain a state of confidentiality. There may be things that come out that people are going to share in confidence, and we want to respect the fact that they're sharing that in confidence with us today. I always tell people that I am not here to blame, shame, and I will not push your mistake button. I want us to listen actively, deeply, and with empathy. My wife says I still don't do a good job at that, but I will try my best. Some of this conversation may be triggering. And what I mean by that is things may come up today that may bring you to a place that maybe you suffered some harm in the past or some pain in the past. If that happens, let Debbie or I or someone know so that we can make sure that we help you through that. We're going to use a language of mutual respect with each other. And if we disagree on something, we won't be disagreeable. So those are just the things that I ask as we begin this conversation today. So I appreciate y'all. So just a little bit about what we value at UConn Health, what we value at UConn, and in this work that we do. Excellence. We want to make sure that the work that we do is grounded in excellence. And importantly, it's grounded in a group of people that come together and do this as a team. No one can do this work alone. The work that we do to care for patients in a hospital setting, for instance, or the work that we might do at the Waterbury campus or the Storrs campus, takes the work of all of us to do it. We need leadership to certainly support this work, to demonstrate and to model that this work is important. We think that innovation, how we do this work differently, is key to moving it forward. And we acknowledge that building inclusive environments that include environments of thought, environments of the data that we use to make decisions, and the teams that we put together need to be diverse of a perspective of gender, of race, ethnicity, of whether you're in a rural community or a suburban community, but that involves the richness of the communities that we come from. So in our office here at UConn, at the Storrs and the regional campuses, we advocate for access and equity across all of the units of the institution, whether they're athletic units or academic units or support units. And we support the innovation and the programming that comes out of those units because we want to build communities that are inclusive, and we want to build a workforce that's diverse and inclusive. And we want everyone to feel that they are welcomed and that they belong. That is so critical to the work of anyone that does work in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion, is that whole piece of making sure that all of us feel as if we are welcomed and that we belong. Real briefly, I was asked to talk briefly about some of the work that we do in our office. We do some work around affinity. And what I mean by that is there a specific identity that you might have where we can grow a community of like-minded people. So there might be short people from New York that want to come together. And if you can see who I am, you'll see that he is a short Black male, and maybe there is an affinity of short Black men that I'd like to be involved in. But seriously, are there affinities of athletes? Are there affinities of women? Are there affinities of veterans? Are there affinities of people who come from rural communities that have a shared living experience? Is there an affinity of people with physical disabilities that come together with that shared lived experience that we can work with this particular talented group of people to bring value to our organization and to bring value to that particular affinity group? We do planning with different units around diversity, equity, and inclusion. We do training when it's needed. I don't know how many of you are aware of what's called implicit bias. Implicit bias is something that comes to your mind without you even thinking when you initially see someone or something. And there are opportunities for us to help individuals and units work with some bias that they may have, say, for instance, when they are hiring people or when they're selecting people to become members of the university, to be a student at the university. And we also are engaged in standing up opportunities for members of our community, whether they're students, faculty, or staff, to listen and be in dialogue, in particularly to have conversations that are hard and challenging and that exist across differences that we may have. And certainly in our national environment and our global environment these days, those type of conversations coming into the fall semester, coming into August and September of this year are going to be critical. So that's a glimpse as to some of the work that we do on our campuses, and feel free to interrupt me at any time. But this is the first of the activities that I want us all to participate in together, is this whole activity around who you are. How do you define yourself? What is your self-identity? And people, and I know because I listened to one of your sessions and one of the speakers talked about a metaphor before. And so I'm going to use that same term, a metaphor. And I use the iceberg as a metaphor for sometimes what you see on the surface of the sea is completely different than what exists underneath the surface. And I'll use myself. I will model the behavior in myself. You might see someone who is Black complected, who may have certain physical qualities that you could just see on my Zoom screen. But underneath the surface, you don't know that I'm a certain ethnicity. I'm 63 years old. I'm Protestant. I'm married and have children and grandchildren. I identify as a male. I'm of a certain ancestry. I can trace my ancestry back to Ghana in Africa, and also a little bit to some Scandinavian countries as well too. I have an invisible disability. I have some hearing problems. And so that's all a part of me that you don't know. And I'm not saying that we're going to go up to everyone on the screen and find out what they are like underneath the surface, but as you get to know people, that lived experience helps you appreciate and celebrate not only sameness and commonness that you have, but also to celebrate the differences that we all have, which are so important. So I just wanted to pause there for a second to see if there's any response before we go on in terms of, I'm just going to look at the chat real quickly. I don't know if there's anything in there I need to look at. Where I work, where we work on things. I'm on the board of directors who always talk about. So Kimberly, thank you for that that comment. I am on the
Yeah, I'm
Special
on
Olympics
the board of
Connecticut Board of
directors.
Directors. Tell me a little bit about that, Kimberly.
So yes, I'm one of the athletes that I serve on the SOCT board of directors, and we always we have a group that talks about diversity, inclusion, diversity, equality, and inclusion. So we always talk about those during our meetings and the ways of how Special Olympics could be involved and get other people to be involved and able to help Special Olympics out.
Awesome. How do those conversations usually go? Are they challenging? Are they upfront? Are they honest? What's your feeling on how those conversations go?
Well, they're really honest and they're really on point of what they are trying to say, and I listen and also trying to soak in the information that is given out.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. I see there's also a comment from Brian, and perhaps Brian, you and I can connect offline and have a conversation around that specific question that you brought up, if you don't mind. Debbie can connect the two of us, and we'll see what comes of that. But thank you for putting that in the chat. As I'm scrolling through the chat, I am also a big fan of UConn men's and women's basketball. I don't know about you, but I got my full of basketball these past 2 weeks from watching the Olympics coming from Paris. I see a hand up. I don't know what order they went in, but I'll just go on my screen. Aaron is first. Aaron, please unmute yourself and ask your question or make your comment.
Good afternoon, Jeff. This is Aaron. How you doing?
I'm well. Thank you, sir.
Good, good. Well, I'll explain exactly myself about what I'm proud of being as an athlete and a global messenger, and I'll give you like maybe a ton of it. Okay. Number one, I'm a black man who is with Self-Advocacy Group. We've been doing it for 30 years. I'm also with the Special Olympics Global Messenger. I also just got picked to be as the first, well, actually not the first, the second person who got honored for the Kennedy Shriver Award. My other thing is I'm also with Proud Parents. I'm also a father. I'm a father of two. And I also join a lot of advocacies because I hear from people from across, not just across the world, like here in Connecticut, that we need to make better conversations by doing what we have to do to be more open with ourselves. And I know that every single day when we are here on this screen, we talk about what goes on with us, what type of things we want to do, what type of things we want to see. And that's really good that when we sit and express ourselves every single day for things that we do, and we should be proud of that though, because, you know, as us as global messengers, all of us on this screen, we've been doing this for a very, very long time. And I know these guys here, they're like my friends. And I enjoy talking to them. I enjoy hanging out with them and everything else. So when I do my sports and everything else with these guys, I give them high fives, I give them fist bumps, I give them everything because one, I show them respect and they're showing respect to me.
Aaron,
But
thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Before we go to Natasha, I just want to comment on one thing that you said. The piece of advocacy is so important in all of the work that we do in DE&I, but also in other spaces. So thank you for being an ambassador and thank you for being an advocate. I see Natasha's hand up next, and then we'll go to Justin.
Good afternoon. Natasha Cole. I am part of the Special Olympics. I'm a health leader and I'm a coach and I'm a global messenger, and I know about advocacy by speaking up and being empowered, and there's determination, being determined, and also self-direction, because we all have like supports, and I do Special Olympics track and field, and also cross country skiing, and I have won 2 gold medals to go to. I went to Austria for the first time, and this coming October, I'm going to this wonderful event at Rocky Hill, because I was chosen because I'm a coach, so I can help with the coaches training, and also I'm joining the open messengers, and also I'm age 46, and I live in Taunton, and I'm like Aaron, and I've been to the Capitol and I've been to Washington, DC, because I did this wonderful practicum because I wanted to be a coach.
Awesome.
Thank you
Awesome.
very much.
Natasha, thank you for sharing, and congratulations on all those accomplishments. And also for you, thank you for your advocacy. There's a theme that's rising here among this group of ambassadors. Justin, I promise to go to you next.
All right. You, Jeffrey, are tonight joining a very exclusive club because Debbie can attest to this. 3 years ago, in October of 2021, we had your fellow colleague from your exact same department, Franklin A. Tewitt III.
Yes.
He took part in one of our meetings as well.
Well, I'm excited that you invited our organization back. Frank is a good friend. He's actually taken on an amazing new role, and he actually forwarded this email to me. It's like, Jeff, would you mind being involved to talk to this amazing group of folks? I'm going to continue on a little bit, but please feel free to interrupt me, Debbie, if this format is okay. I love the interaction. People are not here to hear me talk the whole time.
Excuse me,
Who's that?
my name's Allison, but you can call me Allie. I just sent you a text on the computer a while ago.
Do you talk about, is this you? Do you talk about your pride to other people, about your traits, and how do you feel about talking to people about it?
Yeah, because like what you're discussing it.
Could you just explain that a little bit more so that I understand it?
What I meant is like, how do you feel like talking to like other students or people, like what you do and all that?
Thank you. Thank you for
Welcome.
that so much. As I mentioned, I've been said I talk too much, and sometimes people have to shush me. But so much of this work, and it's to different generations as well too. I think it's important to have these conversations with younger people, to have these conversations with perhaps people the age that are here today, people my age, and also to people that are older than me as well too, because there are so many lessons that we can learn from many groups of people. Brittany, I'm going to let you ask a question or make a comment, and then we'll move on as well. Brittany, go ahead.
What's a culture?
What is the
What was that again, Brett?
What's a culture?
What's a culture? What is the culture?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. That's the slide that we're on right now. So much of this work around identity and inclusion and diversity is all based in the fact that we come from different experiences and different cultures. So the way that I like to define culture, it's the set of beliefs and behaviors or objects or other characteristics that may be common to a specific group or society. And this is how we're able to act among each other who share a similar culture, and how we act and sometimes don't act together among people that are different from us. So thank you for that prompt, Brittany, for me to explain and define what culture is. And let me move on. I put this slide up there because many of us, as we identify,
I'm in the meeting.
may use different pronouns. Like, for instance, if the email that I sent to Debbie in enthusiastically agreeing to do this conversation with you today, underneath my name, it says Jeff Hines, he, his, him, because that's how I identify from a gender identity perspective. I identify as a he, as a him, and as a her. In this day and age, it's important for me, as I do this work, to ask people how they would like to identify. Just like I might ask someone who is male or female, do you prefer Mr., Mrs., or Ms.? I ask people, what pronouns shall I address you as? I don't say preferred, because preferred is not a good word for us to use these days, because there's no preference. There's no, hierarchy into whether someone wants to identify as male or female. So I put this up there so that we can all get a look at the diverse faces, the inclusive look of people, and the diverse ways that people self-identify. So this is, and I'm happy, Debbie, if it's appropriate, to share this slide deck with you in the group later on.
That would be great. Somebody already asked me for it.
Okay, great. So just to pause on that, and that's again, some of the work, because we're celebrating in diversity, equity, inclusion We are celebrating the sameness that we have, and we're celebrating the differences that we have in how we identify. And again, just that.
At my job,
Excuse me,
I learned something.
Allison,
Yeah.
Allison, please raise your hand. I'd like nobody to interrupt our speaker, okay? I
I'm
would
sorry.
appreciate that. No problem.
That's okay. And I just put this up when I talked about that identity slide. You know, you just look at this picture and it's so rich just in the hand raise of the colors of different people, the tattoos and how they express their identity or their culture. Someone who's wearing bracelets, someone who's not, someone who has a watch. So I think the diversity and the inclusion of differences just in the hand raise is important. Just like this is perhaps my favorite picture in this set of slides that I'll share with you, is how these people look different yet look the same with respect to their race, their ethnicity, their height, their weight, their age. There's a group of children. There's a woman that's wearing a hijab. You know, it's just all who we are as a group of citizens of the United States, how there is similarities with us, but also how there's differences. And I see the hands starting to come up, so I'll pause for a minute. Natasha, I saw your hand first.
So, Jeffrey, I think I might know you. Yes,
Okay.
I do, because I remember, have you been to the diversity, equity, inclusion events? Yeah, I might have seen you different times.
Which event, Natasha?
It's called the diversity, equity, inclusion, we have different events,
With SOCT in particular?
I think, not for Special Olympics, no.
Yeah, this is my first conversation with members of Special Olympics, but happy, you know, Debbie can see if there's any other events that maybe me or one of my colleagues have attended. But thank you.
And
And
Natasha works for DDS, so maybe it's something.
Oh, maybe so.
Yes.
It could be DDS. That's
Yeah,
exactly.
because I might have seen
You know,
you.
It very
Yes.
much might be that. Maybe you've seen my little face on a square. And is it Allison that's in Stephen Smith Square? It's labeled.
Well,
Stephen-
actually, Stephen is my dad's name.
Okay,
I'm just using
but
it
it's
as an account.
Allison. I'll just write myself a note so that Allison is in
Right.
Stephen Smith Square.
Right. Yeah. What I was gonna say is, at my job where I work at, I learned something similar like this, except sometimes we do it like as for homework.
Oh, that's
From-
awesome. I'm not going to give you a homework assignment tonight, Allison.
Oh,
I
good.
like you too much.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, you're good yourself.
I put this up there. Your homework is the conversation that we're having, and this is so
Right.
rich. And thank y'all. I put this up there because for me, it talks a little bit, and we'll get into the next phase of our conversation of what's called cultural humility. And what I mean by that, who are you? Who you are? What can you say about yourself? And that'll be the last exercise that we'll do together. And I'm sure all the hands will go up. But we're all defined by how we were educated, where we live, what our age is there a visible or an invisible disability that we have? What's our religion? What languages do we speak? So this makes up who we are, and actually defines the diversity within our particular units that we're in, organizations that we belong to, and it adds to the richness of who we are. There's certain things I want to skip, but I'm going to pause here because as we get into this last exercise that we're going to do together, it really requires a look in the mirror, you know, to really look inwardly and outwardly who we are and how we define ourselves. And what's important is that you own the story of your story. Only you can tell who you are. And I want to focus what's on the left side of this slide. It's very busy, but there's some things that I want to point out that I know you already know. This whole aspect of cultural humility is a question of, I'm curious about you. I don't know everything about you. I don't pretend to know everything about you. So I want to engage in a conversation so I can get to know you. So it's very self-reflective. It acknowledges the fact that I am interested in who you are and want to learn about you. And importantly, you own your own story. I don't define your story for you at all. You own your story. And if I'm going to practice cultural humility, I'm going to do that thing that I talked about in the very beginning in Touchstones. I'm going to listen deeply and actively and with empathy. And as my wife says, not always want to respond when I'm listening. So these are authentic stories that you own that are about your life and lived experience. You own the story. No one owns it for you. And the whole aspect of why cultural humility in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion is important is because we are asking to hear your story because we genuinely care about you. We genuinely want to learn about you. This allows for us to begin to build trusted relationships, and it allows us to begin to have perhaps conversations across people who are different from each other. So it's so critically important that we learn and can adopt humility into the practices. So this is our homework assignment and where I want to pause. I put this slide up there because these are pieces of my life that are important to me from a diversity, equity, inclusion perspective, and also from a cultural humility perspective. It defines me at various stages in our life. And it is my story. And this is my attempt to be a little vulnerable with you and share a little bit of my story with you. And perhaps we can save the rest of the time, perhaps people to tell a little bit about their stories. So, you know, if you go to the far left at the bottom, those are my parents. Those are my mom and dad. And I may choke up a little bit talking about my mom and dad because they're a big part of who I am. And next to them is my immediate family, my wife and my two kids when they were a little younger. And above that is when I came back from Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and saw my daughter after being deployed for 8 months. And you can see somewhere down there, I'm from New York and I'm proudly from New York. And I saw someone in the group wearing a New York Yankees jersey, so we will get along well. So this is just a little bit of a glimpse of my life, but maybe what I'll do is I'll leave that there and see who else may want to share about their life, how it relates to this topic of diversity and inclusion and equity. And I will start to take some. Chris, I see you're up next, at least. I don't know if that's the order that you came up in, but Chris with the White House in the background. Chris, it's on you. Go for it.
Yes, like for me, it's like I have a disability, but I own it in a different way. I'm a fantastic leader. I love my country, and being different towards family is being loving, careful, and respect. My grandpa is a retired Army veteran, retired Air Force veteran, and he's my hero. My grandpa, for me, is something that I want to be in the military, but because of my disability, I can't. But when I grow up, I want to be a politician because I believe everyone would like to be what they are today, no matter what DNA or ancestry or not. Your family is always there for love and all kinds of respect because family is more appreciated towards you, your DNA, the family.
Thank you, Chris. And I want to highlight one thing you said about being a politician. We need great people like you to go into politics and not to be afraid to go into politics. So I'll be on your team. You call me up, all right? Thank you, Chris, for sharing.
Yeah.
I see next Rebecca. At least I'm just going to go through my list. And Debbie, please help me make sure I don't forget anybody. Rebecca, your turn. Please.
Yeah, it's me. I have a disability too, but sometimes I feel like it's not there. So it's like some of it's there, but some of it's not. So I feel like it's good to just like kind of show it. You know what I'm saying?
You know, it's interesting you say that, Rebecca, and perhaps if I'm invited back again, we do an activity sometimes called Come Into the Circle, where we have people in a complete circle, and I'll call out something. Who wears glasses? Whoever wears glasses, we all raise our hand, and we look around and see who has glasses and who doesn't have glasses. And there's one question prompt that I will ask is, who has a visible or an invisible disability? And I will raise my hand because now I have become hard of hearing in my left ear. And it's amazing when we talk about this of people's, well, I didn't realize that. And some people would, is that why you sometimes always turn, you know, to the right, Jeff, so that, yeah, so that people, so that I can hear people. But you're right. Sometimes the disabilities that we have are invisible, in addition to being visible. So thank you for your honesty and thank you for sharing, Rebecca. Next, I have Aaron next.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm a Black African American. I mean, I love my mom and everything else, and I love my dad because my mom's been there for me since I was a baby. Yes, I do have a disability, but it doesn't matter exactly what I have in me or anything else. So as long as I'm smart and if I have a brain that I can think on my own and everything else, so and agree on things what everybody else is saying in front of us, and then also I'm a person where I will mostly help people because I've been around a lot of places and everybody else knows me though because I help people in need. Like if I help friends in Special Olympics, like if they want to talk about something or they want to sit down and talk, yeah, I'm willing to mostly listen. I'm willing to hear them and everything else because that's why I became an advocate and joined the self-advocacy back in the day. And that's why things gotten better with us by learning from other people. I mean, I've learned from all these people here, with Megan and Stephanie and John and Kathy and everybody else here. We all learn from each other though, because we're all friendly people. And we know that we have to be very positive of ourselves every day. And I know that when we have to not really think out of the box, but you think inside the box. So, but
Awesome.
I just want to say thank you for coming to be here with us and sharing your expression of your family. And let me tell you, I see the family that you guys, I see the family you have, the pictures that you have, the mixed kids and everything else. So it's totally fantastic though. And let me tell you, you take care of them as you take care of us.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that.
And Aaron, let me just say something because you're being very honest. I want to be honest with you. You know, the fact that my family is diverse and blended, that is such a rich part of my family. So thank you for pointing that out, and I'm happy to claim it and own it. So next, I see Natasha and then Carly. We have a new voice, but Natasha, it's on you.
So my family is also diverse, and I am English and also American. Like what Aaron said, I am like him also talking about advocacy and being heard and always be determined in my life. The reason why I'm determined because I decided to be a coach because I like to I'm involved in Special Olympics because I'm getting athletes so that they can be part of health and fitness. And the reason why I'm in Special Olympics, because I went to Austria because I am like my grandfather, because I have won 2 gold medals. I was honored, I was chosen, and I was in a mixture of all these diversity of all the different athletes all over the world. I was chosen, and I'm thrilled. I'm part of the diversity, equity. Equity means equal people, and inclusion is being together as a family. So that's
Indeed.
why my family is diversity. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you for defining that for me, Natasha. I should have done that at the very beginning. Megan, I see your hand. Carly was first, and then we'll do Carly, and then, is that right? Carly, and then Megan. I got you, Megan. Carly, please.
I have a disability too that people might not be able to see. I have, since I feel like I'm normal too, and it's not invisible either for to see. And then I'm kind of an advocate too in helping others, because I do that on my Special Olympics team too a lot, and anywhere I'm at. And I've been on my team since '99, became a global messenger almost 2 or 3 years ago, and I feel like I'm doing good for others too. And I'm part mostly English and some German from my mom's parents' side, and I don't know what my dad's parents' side is, but that's all I can tell you about me, and don't know much else for the diversity.
That's great. Thank you for sharing, Carly. I want to make sure I have the list right. I have Megan. Megan will go next. Then I see Kimberly's hand. I see someone on iPhone 12, and Debbie, I'm going to have to help you. That's who?
Remy.
So, Megan, I think you're up.
Yep. So
Thank
I'm
you,
a
Megan.
huge UConn fan. That's one thing. That's my favorite sport, but I like basketball and sports. Big fan of WWE. That's my favorite sport.
Okay.
And I do talk about my family a lot and my friends, but just some. And my role models I have right now on a Zoom call right now is Kimberly and Aaron. They gave me great tips on Special Olympics to me, and I am so happy for that, to keep me on track.
Awesome. And you know, as I'm listening, it's so wonderful to hear people honestly speak about who they are, you know, that identity that I only know just from looking at you on these squares, but y'all are maybe even getting a little bit of vulnerable with each other, and certainly vulnerable with me, and I'm just meeting you for the first time. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Megan. I'm going to go down the list. I had Kimberly next.
So yeah,
And-
so for me, it's like, even though I have Down syndrome, but sometimes it doesn't affect me, because I mean, when I was in high school, they're saying that, oh, you can't get a regular high school diploma. I actually proved them wrong. Taught mainstream classes for 8 years in a row, because I was only 13 when I started. And I was like, hey, I can do regular work, and I can get a regular high school diploma. And even though it took me 8 years, but I still received it. But then for Special Olympics, I've been doing it for 25 years, because my brother's is on the medical team. So which kind of inspired me to be involved with medical. And so that's why I'm the first athlete to be medical certified. So I know what to do for, like, per se, CPR and AD. And like, and for me, like, being, you know, very, very involved in Special Olympics, because I do a lot with self-advocacy for, I'm an athlete leader for Connecticut. I'm on the Global Messenger since 2018. I'm also a health messenger, and I'm on the board. And so my family really inspires me a lot. And I'm really proud of that I am an aunt 5 times, 3 nephews and 2 nieces. And I'm really happy that I spend time with my friends. And I know Megan since we were like babies.
Awesome.
That is true.
Thank you for sharing. And I just want to make sure, and who is the person on iPhone 12?
That's
Remy.
Remy.
Ready.
Go for it. And then I see someone has Barbara's iPad.
Yep,
I-
we have John
John.
Fraser raising his hand and Justin Prince. So maybe we could go to
Debbie,
the,
I'm going to turn this over to you to help us because you know everyone's name.
no problem. Go ahead, Remy. Why don't you go next?
Okay. Well, I also have Down syndrome, but I don't let it define me in any way because, like, I'm me. And I've also done a lot of great things too in some of my struggles that I dealt with. But I always like to take it more in a positive way because I know there's a lot of things out there and I'm very well capable of maintaining. And I'm also an advocate myself because I've advocated for employment and I finally got myself a job that lasted 4 years because I always had struggles where I couldn't hold a job for more than a year. And I also I've done a lot of public speaking. Like I've gone to DC and advocated. I'm also a global messenger as well. And I appreciate a lot that Debbie has did to help me to become a global messenger.
Awesome.
And
Thank you. I just want to highlight one thing that you said when you talk about how people say what you can't do and how you flipped it, positive. People call that leading with positive intent as opposed to that deficit model, what you can't do. And so we need you to keep doing what you're doing around this is what's positive around me and my community and what we can do, as opposed to leading with that deficit model of what we can't do. So thank you for that. Debbie, let us know who's next, because I've lost count.
You are doing a fantastic job, and I don't mean to jump in. I just want to make sure everybody who has a question today gets a chance to ask it. So
Yes.
let's hop over to John Fraser next. Go ahead, John, then we'll go to Justin.
I just want to say that I just finished a big campaign for the Special Olympic fundraiser. I raised over $1,200
Wow.
Wow.
for the Hartford team.
Wow. Good eye, man. Wow.
That's
Fantastic.
awesome. Congratulations. I might get you to help me with some fundraising events that I have upcoming this fall, my friend. So
I do it every year. And I go to Texas every year to raise money in Texas too.
good for you, sir.
Oh my
I have a
God.
brother that lives in Texas, so he gives me a lot.
That's great. Keep up the awesome work, my friend.
Absolutely.
Thank you, John. Let's go over to Justin Prince next. Go ahead, Justin.
So yeah, I've been doing Special Olympics for a while now, a few different sports. And like you, I'm very close with my family. Also a Yankee fan. And I'm very excited because this year I'll be doing volleyball for the first time. So I'm excited to give that a try.
Congratulations. That's awesome. I
Thank you.
will admit I also like the Mets as well too. So
That's
I'll just
okay.
put that out there. Thanks, Justin. Thanks for not turning off the Zoom when I said Mets.
It's okay. It's okay.
We're all
Debbie,
still
who's
here.
next?
Let's see. Is there anybody that would like to ask a question that hasn't asked a question yet? Raise your hand. Albert. Excellent. Go ahead, Albert. And then Ryan. Albert, I think you're on mute. Unmute yourself there, please. That would be great. We'd love to hear you. Yep, just click on that little microphone in the bottom corner of your screen there. Yeah. So there's a
Yeah.
little like.
Bottom left, bottom left, Al.
Just click on that. No,
You type it in the chat. Wait, type it in the chat.
I wish I could unmute him. Let's see.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Isn't
I
there a way to
know.
do that?
The
Isn't there a way to do that?
mute.
Not-
I think he's
No.
getting some help. We can go to Albert. We'll circle back to you. Let's go to Ryan. We'll come back to Albert. How does that sound? All right, go ahead, Ryan. We'll come back to
Yeah.
Albert. Sure.
Hi, Debbie.
Mute yourself.
Hi.
Unmute.
I did.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
Ryan.
I do have a question. I want to thank Big Steph you for us. And I've been doing a couple of things lately. I've been doing two things. I did something in 2021 for the Olympics and for inclusion, and it's on point. It's 3 years, and that was on the inclusion campaign. It was under SOCT. Then I'm doing this. It's called, in my workplace, I'm doing the Inclusion Action Group, which I'm now putting together. So I'm now the group leader of the whole thing.
Brian,
So my
thank
question
you.
for you is,
Ryan, thank you for your leadership in those.
my question for you is, yes, so my question for you is, are you involved in helping other, you call it, and what you call them,
I don't know what you're talking about.
it's more like people who are
I know it's a little hard to hear you, Ryan. I think you were having some technical issues. Do you want to type your question in the chat? Are you able to do that?
Or the other thing to do, in addition to that, maybe Debbie, you can have him, with my email, just connect me, and I'm happy to answer that question as well too. I heard part of it, but I don't want to answer without hearing the whole thing.
Yeah, that was a little difficult when he's so back away from the microphone. Now, if he was closer,
But if we don't get it in the chat, we can certainly connect via email, because I know I'm also gonna ask Debbie to have me connected with Brian as well too, based on.
I'm going to ask
what he
one
put in the chat.
particular.
You want to try?
Are you very involved in? Yes. Is he? Help people who are wheelchair bound.
I heard the word wheelchair. I just don't know if I'm hearing enough.
Physically disabled.
He wants to know if you help people that are physically disabled.
In a wheelchair, physically disabled in a wheelchair.
Disabled. Yes. Yes.
So thank you for that question, Ryan. And the answer is yes. I actually work with an organization at UConn, the Center of Excellence in Disabilities. Specifically, it's around physical disabilities, and my colleague there is Mary Beth Bruder. And perhaps we can get connected a little bit, and happy to connect you to the services that. Oh, you do, Mary Beth Bruder. She's I actually serve as a consultant to her group on issues related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Mary Beth and her group are awesome people. Yes. So Mary Beth. I'm preaching to the choir today.
Yes. I just want to wrap up, and the last thing is, I work at a nonprofit, and since 2019, it's been Catholic Family Services. That's the one that's trying to get support for inclusion and diversity. They want to be interested in that.
I don't know, Debbie, if I caught enough of that. Again, I'm happy. You want to forward that to me an email, I'm happy to address all of these.
Yeah, Ryan.
have
Send
him
us
on
an
email.
email and we'll get it over to Dr. Hines. Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate your contributions to the conversation, and we'll get your email over to Dr. Hines so he can respond. Okay, thanks so much for that,
Hey,
Ryan.
Yes, and
Hey,
have
Debbie,
Coming
there's-
up on 5 o'clock, I want to be respectful of everybody's time and I want to get to everybody's questions. So I think Albert is able to share his question now. So thank you, Ryan. Let's go over to Albert.
Dr. Hines, I am a global messenger from way back, and I also am a Special Olympics participant from way back, and I am so amazed of how much the Special Olympics movement has grown since I've been a little tyke many years ago, and things that we're talking about today have not been said before. And I just want to thank you again, Debbie, for inviting him. And I just want to say, you know, I'm proud to be a Special Olympian, and I'm proud of my my diffability. I use this word diffability that Tim Shriver taught me. That people with intellectual disabilities they have abilities, but maybe differently than any other people. And I just want to thank you for sharing with your experiences today. And Debbie, we should have him come to our next group outing whenever he's available.
I appreciate that invitation, and my response is certainly thank you, but perhaps with your history involved in Special Olympics, I don't know if you've thought about an oral history, having someone take your story, because these are important stories to capture and tell. But thank you for those very kind words.
Excuse me, Jeff, I got one more question.
Allie, I just want to make sure everybody gets a chance first.
Okay,
Okay?
I'll try.
All right, and because we have 1 minute, it's 1 minute to 5, believe it or not. This was the fastest hour I think
Oh my gosh, I know.
Yeah, it was.
Wow, that's good.
I think we're gonna have Dr. Hines back. I mean, so much wonderful
Yes.
Maybe this is
information
just part one.
he shared with us. And you know what? I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I always tell everybody we wrap up by 5 and it is 5 o'clock. So anybody who has a question, they want to forward it to me and I can forward it to Dr. Hines if you would be so kind.
Okay.
We'll do it that way. Great to see all of you today. There's Carla and Jake and so many of you, Matt, just tremendous to have everybody here on this very important call with this extremely special guest. We are so thankful. And with that, I want to just have Justin Riker, who Albert, it was Justin who invited Dr. Hines. I can't take the credit. I wish I could take the credit.
No,
The credit goes to
Justin.
Justin Riker. So Justin, if you would just say a final couple of words to wrap this meeting up, I would greatly appreciate that.
Are we gonna sing happy birthday?
They all left.
All the birthday people left. They're all celebrating.
Oh, yeah, they're gone.
Oh,
Especially Debbie's.
Dr. Hines, I just want to speak for all of the other 21 people who are on this call right now. We thank you so very much for attending, for being a guest at this meeting. I mean, it's a huge privilege and an honor to have you take a little piece of your time during your busy day to come to speak to us. And also, I think we should give him a round of applause for attending. What do you guys think?
Good
I
job,
think
Jeff.
so too, Justin.
Thanks, Jeff.
Justin, and to this entire group, thank you for the opportunity. I know there's a little bit of business we still have to do. Debbie's gonna help reach out to me, and I will share. One of my homework assignments is to share the deck with Debbie. And I would encourage each of you to continue to tell your stories and define your why. And that's what I heard today. Your why. Why do you do this? What are you excited about? This is your why. And either write it down or do it in picture form. But I've got a call with my CEO at 5 after 5. So I'm going to drop off. But thank you so much. And I hope I get an opportunity to talk to y'all again. Be well and
Glad
be
to visit.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Hines.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Birthday, Deb.
Oh yeah, happy birthday.